Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Yet another mother episode of I Am I. I am Joshua Ansley as of today and evermore. Probably not evermore, but. So today we're going to talk about relationship. Hi! Not relationships. That's part of it. We'll get to that. But we're talking about relationship, right? Which just means as a whole, the concept of one thing relating to another. So what that requires in having a relationship is something separate from something else. So it's how we relate to something else. And as I always say, it's not the world that causes the suffering, but how we relate to it. So it's all about relationship. So we're going to get into a little bit about, having your relationships with your partner or whatever, and business relationships or whatever. But really, what are we going to, come on, I'm so fucking predictable. What's the first relationship that we have to have in order? Our relationship to ourselves. Now, this is where we're going to get a little funky. We're going to get a little fun and esoteric, because you know how I roll. All right. So in order to have relationship, you have to have something separate from yourself. Right? So really, the relationship to yourself isn't really a relationship. It's a state of being. Now, this is how it works. So through the chakra system, right? It starts singular. It's the alpha and the omega. This piece of information is the alpha and the omega. That at our core, we are that absolute divine being. As you come from that space of wholeness and completeness, that will change everything in your life. It'll change all your relationships, right? So that is the first chakra, relationship to myself. Now, as we move through, it's really interesting because it expands out from the first chakra, and it actually makes a big fucking vagina. It makes a big vulva. It comes out to the heart space, which is the largest space, and then comes back together again. So it's one big, right? One big, beautiful vagina of creation that we step through and find ourselves, right? So it comes back up to the singularity again up top. So that is relationship to that ultimate reality, right? So down at the bottom, it's our relationship to ourselves. That has to come first. Now, this is not about selfish. It's the exact opposite of that. Because the relationship to ourselves, like I said, is not really a relationship. It's a state of being in that absolute perfection, in that wholeness and completion. It's about starting to understand that we are that. The more we get that love from inside of ourselves, the less we will need it from external places, right? And so, but really when we're talking about how we relate to ourselves, then if we use that vernacular, then we're talking about the self as it relates to us, the body-mind complex. So the first relationship to ourselves the first relationship that we have to get in order is that relationship to ourselves. From that space of the self, capital S, which has no relationship, there is nothing, it is complete unity, there is nothing relative to it, it is absolute, it is whole, it is everything, it is you are God, right? From that space, that wholeness and completeness, then we look into our relationship from there to our mind-body complex and all our thoughts and all the fucking conditioning and all that childhood shit and get all that stuff out. If you have not gotten that shit in order, your relationships are going to be a mess. Just trust me on this. The answer is to go inward. The answer is to go inward. Always go inward. The body and the mind will take action in the world. The more you go inward, the more you will understand to that place of wholeness and completeness that is outside of desire and striving and need. And then the mind and the body will take action in the world. And it will take the appropriate action in the appropriate time, at the appropriate place, or at the appropriate place in the appropriate time. So, then obviously we get into the next chakra up is my relationship to you, me to you. So now we're bringing in other people. Hiya! This is where it gets real fucking complicated, right? So, soon as relationships, now we'll get romantic on it, right? The first thing when people go to couples relationships, couple things, oh my God, there's a big old dog coming this way. How you doing, pup? What's up, buddy? Woohoo! How you doing? Oh, you just got me all dirty. I appreciate that. Who cares? All right. So, where was I? Relationship. We're gonna probably have to cut this. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Say hello to you?
Yeah, he did.
Go jumping. Go jumping. Good boy. Good boy.
What's up, buddy?
He just loves to say hello to everybody. Mr. Social.
So where am I? Okay, so when couples go into couples therapy, right, the first thing that they really do is start being like, well, he did this, or he's not giving me this, or she's doing this, and I need this from her, and I'm not getting this, and blah, blah, blah. It's all about what the other person is doing, and it's really no awareness on what we are doing. Here's what happens. If you want to have good relationships, start to give. If you want happiness, serve. And where does that come from? It comes from a space inside of ourselves that we are whole and complete and fulfilled and healed already. If we are not, then we're just needy, needy, needy. And it's fine that we're going to be that too, because I'm not trying to be black and white. Don't get extreme with it. The actual strength comes in the vulnerability. The authenticity is where we need to be. To be, I can't do this, or I'm trying to do this. But are we really fucking trying? Are we just coming from this place of defending, right? So we come into that place of wholeness and completeness, and we don't have to defend anything. And then we have nothing to do but to give. I mean, if you're not getting what you want out of your relationship, then give. What does that person need? Stop thinking about what you need, right? They're going to get it. That's the irony of it. That's the whole thing. I'm not talking about that you won't get your needs. Now, if you're in like a relationship with a sociopath or really dysfunctional shit, because you haven't done the work down on the first chakra and that first and second chakra stuff first, then yes, you're going to be a mess, because you're going to be giving from a codependent space. You're going to be giving with an expectation in return. You can't give unconditionally. You're not going to be able to, because you're going to be expecting something in return. And waiting and waiting and waiting. And if you haven't done that work, you'll be in those fucked up relationships. If you've done that work, you will naturally draw in healthier relationships into your life. I'm telling you, the answer is to give. So what can you do? What can you give back to your relationship? How can you light that other person up? How can you bring something out of them? How can you fire them up by giving them something? How can you bring something back that they're missing from the relationship instead of worrying about what you're missing in the relationship? I mean, seriously, dude, if she's not sucking your fucking dick enough, what the hell are you doing to make her want to? Why the hell would she want to if you're just sitting around playing fucking video games all day long thinking that you're doing all this great shit? Or maybe you are working your ass off and you think that's your time. It's like, well, listen, if you want, just understand, it comes back from the same space. In the Bhagavad Gita, we talk about that the wise person knows that there's a little bit of them in everyone else and a little bit of everyone else in them. And this is, again, where it comes back to there being no separation, right? So, when you're relating to someone else, if you can forget about the separation, if you can understand that your partner is you, find the self in them and worship that in them. Devote yourself to that in them. Devote your mind-body complex to the self, capital S self, in them. Worship them. Worship her as a goddess. Let her feel like a goddess. And if you don't feel that way about her, then fucking figure it out. Find out what it is in her. What was in her in the first place that brought you there? Find out and give that to her. Light her up, fire her up, and she will melt and open into you and give you everything you ever wanted. Be that support and be honest and authentic. It's not about being tough and strong and all that kind of shit. I mean, there's definitely strength, but the strength is in the vulnerability. So we give. And I know I'm talking about, men right now, but it's just because they're so fucking backwards. They just have no idea. We have no idea. So absolutely, right? But when we admit that we don't have any fucking idea, that's when we start to learn. So it's all about what we can give. How can we serve? With every exhale, we are giving life to this planet. If we don't exhale, if we don't give, we would fucking die. Because we have to exhale in order for that inhale to come back in. It is part of the cycle. It is going constantly, right? And we're never worried about if that inhale is going to come back in. We just give that exhale. And that breath is there unconditionally. So give unconditionally and trust. It's a trust thing. That when you are stable and steady down within yourself in that first chakra, just trust that when you give, you will receive back. But it's not even about receiving back. It won't even fucking matter. You won't even need to get back. When you feel whole and complete and fulfilled within yourself, with your relationship to self or God. My phone died out in the middle of nowhere, so I'm just going to finish it up saying, just fucking give, right? Just give. Life is to give. You want to find happiness, serve from that place of wholeness and completeness within yourself. Step out of the idea that there is any lack or scarcity in your life. Even if it's just a psychological perception, let it be that. And see that when you start to give, it is a law of nature. There is an equal and opposite reaction for every action that is taken. So when you give, you will receive back. Let the emphasis be on giving. In Lakesh Alakin, I am you, you are me. Namaste. What? Too much?